live. She told me to say it.
Oh, okay. Very good. Good morning, everybody.
He's,
Welcome to our mastermind. But what we were just saying just before we went live is the entrepreneurial nature of certain groups of people. Maybe we'll talk about that here a little bit today. But I just placed an ad for salespeople because I'm hiring salespeople for one of our projects in Salt Lake City, and very entrepreneurial group of people up there. So just thinking about like targeting demographics. Of course, a lot of us here in this group are into e-commerce and product research and actually getting our message into the market that will match the message, right? Like here's the product, the service, whatever the benefit is. Here are the people who want it. Let's put those two together, right? So yeah, good stuff. Welcome everybody. We are live and we're going to talk to a few people today. We got Esther and Safas. Good to see you, Safas. Did you finish your food? You finished? You ate? You fed your body? Yes, Safas. I'm talking to you. Can you see me? Maybe he's frozen. He's like, there's Bill, whose glasses match his shirt as always. There's a Coral, Jody, Star, Julian. Good to see you, Julian. Always a pleasure to see Julian, Koila, and Tom, Joe, and Gina, Saka. Good to see you guys. Jane and Neil, Ace Man, who's always here. Good to see everyone. We are going to have a fun conversation today.
You're not leaving Houston out, are you, John?
By the way. What's that?
You're not leaving Houston out, are you, John?
Houston. Oh my goodness, Glenn. Oh, there you are. So you see, I can only see so many people on the screen at one time. But there's Glenn, everybody. Get to know Glenn. He's a fun guy. Not a fungus, but a fun guy.
Suffering FOMO, aren't you, Glenn? Hey?
Yeah. Huh? Glenn, you stole the show yesterday.
Well, I'll give it back if enough people have complained. I'm happy to give it back.
And notice Glenn's little signage that he's got behind him there. How can I delight my customers today?
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. Good stuff. Great question to ask, right? And so I think a lot of times we, especially as newer entrepreneurs, when you're looking at strictly at budgets and how much can I outlay? I mean, I got to turn a profit here. How quickly do I have to turn a profit, right? A lot of times people look at, unfortunately, what's the least I can do? In fact, this is the conversation a lot of times that goes on in the mind of like the employee mindset. I want to do enough to not get fired. Okay. But there's another operating strategy, which I think is revealed by Glenn's reminder that he's got on his wall there. And that is the idea to surprise and delight the customer. And so that's what I want to talk with you a little bit about today. And how you can do that on an ever increasing basis, like on everything that we do. If we're going to become good at something, we do on a gradient. Like just this morning, I had an opportunity, as I do every day, as part of my daily method of operation. I had an opportunity to do some exercise, and I did it. Okay, but it was something where I had to overcome being stopped, which I have to do every day. I have to get off of zero, right? And I can do a little bit more each day. Interesting question. As part of your daily method of operation, we're going to get into the whole idea of surprise and delight here in just a minute. But in terms of your own integrity to your decisions that you made yesterday, when the emotional euphoria wears off, do you stick with those decisions? And I think for a lot of us, I'll speak for myself, often the answer has been no, because I'm expecting to know everything in advance. Well, I need to know the entire, in this case, workout, right? So there's a new workout that I'm trying on here. Well, I don't know every move. I got to watch the video, stop, do some exercise, watch some more of the video. I don't have it memorized, which is a fantastic excuse to just not do it, right? I mean, I suppose I could sit here and watch the other guy, watch him do it, right? And I'll gain something, certainly not physical fitness, but I'll gain at least some additional understanding. And I suppose I could drag that out for months. Some people drag it out even longer, right? And then what? Now I'm even lower on the gradient, overcoming even more inertia, being stopped. So kind of like the sub message that was going through my mind here today, as I was considering what us fine people would discuss, would be the idea of gradients, of doing a little bit more than you did last time. What's the affirmation from Emile Coué, which so many of us like so much? Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. That comes up for me in my morning quiet time, meditation call, whatever you want. That comes up for me every day. Those words go through my mind. And then I go into action, and I'm going to do a little bit more than I did yesterday. Better, stronger, faster, all on a gradient. Okay. So consider that. Now, when we get into the idea of how we don't just serve ourselves, right, by getting off our ass and doing something, that's the Goya method, right? Get off your ass. And when we consider what we can do outside of ourselves, in other words, if we're looking to increase our income, right, our inflow, right, we've got to increase our outflow. We can do that on an ever increasing basis. We do that on a gradient. But the uninitiated, the customer, the prospect, the person who does not yet know of the benefits that could be theirs if they participated in our offer, whatever that offer is, okay, whether it's selling an item on Amazon. I know we got a lot of Amazon sellers here, whether it's enrolling people into an opportunity, right, where they could, maybe get a business going, or financial services, or whatever it happens to be, counseling of some sort, right? There is the initial expectation, which quite often is a lack of expectation on the part of the buyer or the potential buyer. They don't know. They've got some vague idea that there's a need for improvement somewhere in their life, right? I need to buy a product. I need to buy a solution. I need to buy training, right? Something, right? Something is unsatisfactory in their current conditions. Otherwise, they wouldn't be shopping, right? And so what are they expecting to get? They're kind of vague on that. A lot of you here, when I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who initially found this conversation, this group, this mastermind, this experience via something seemingly unrelated, right? Glenn and I have known each other for some years via a completely unrelated field. It wasn't necessarily, we're going to talk about personal development philosophy and self-improvement, although where does that not apply? Some of you, right? I'm looking at Kitty now. Hey, Kitty, right? So we're gonna learn e-commerce and putting products into the Amazon marketplace, right? Fantastic. What does that have to do with personal development? Nothing. And everything. Okay. So I've gotten feedback where people said, in fact, Julian, if you don't mind, I'll paraphrase. Yeah, I got my money's worth just, hanging out in this conversation, right? I get to learn how to do the logistics too. I mean, that's cool. We can press buttons and pull levers and cause, commerce to happen. But my goodness, what a profound yet intangible benefit that we get when we have, this sort of a community and people who are sympathetic with our purposes. One of the things that I've been doing this week is preparing like the onboarding, the email communications, the messaging, the offer, right? In terms of people in the public who want to join this group, who right now don't know it exists and really don't know what to expect. So what I'm thinking is, what can I do as the head facilitator, whatever the title is, right? What can I do as the purveyor of the benefits that I know exist and that all you know exist? What can I do to impress? Not impress like oh, look at you, you're so great, right? It's not about me. What can I do to impress abundantly upon the new member, let's say? So that's what I've been working on, right? I'm going to give you a story. This is something I got from Dean Jackson. I don't know how many of you are aware of Dean Jackson or his work. He was a big shot in real estate. I guess he still is. He and his partner in podcasting is Joe Polish. Joe Polish runs Piranha Marketing. Joe Polish was running carpet cleaning and restoration companies here in the Phoenix area. Dean, I think, is out in Florida or something. But anyway, they do this podcast together. And one of the podcasts, Dean talked about the idea of surprise and delight. And the example he gave was a restaurant that they would go to breakfast at whenever they're in, I think it was New York City. And they would go into the restaurant. And the moment you sat down at the table, before you even get the menu, they bring a small dish of miniature pastries, right? Little, tarts or whatever, right? And so that's complimentary, right? Compliments of the house. As soon as you sit down, here's your pastries, and we'll bring you a menu, right? So that was unexpected, right? I mean, you could go to other restaurants and get pastries and probably pay, $5 or whatever it is, right? Hors d'oeuvres, appetizers. But this was something like, as he coined the term, surprise and delight. I didn't expect that, and I'm delighted by that. So the purveyor of the restaurant benefits, right, said, you know what, we're going to impress this person to the point where we don't have competition. You don't have this experience anywhere else, right? You come to our restaurant, right? And sure enough, whenever they're in town, they go to that restaurant.
Yeah.
What else can we do? What can we do? Hey, Evelyn, what can we do to impress our customers with increase beyond their own expectations, right? In fact, when I say customers, fill in the blank now with the relationships you have, right? We're transacting business that may not be financial, okay? But like I talk to my daughter, right? And if I do it consciously, and this is the thing, we got to be conscious of this. I can't do this unconsciously. I can't be asleep or lazy and do this, right? But remembering, you know, that is one of the most important people in my life. Let me not take that for granted, right? Here's this beautiful being, right? In this case, my daughter, right? Or my wife, or my friend Glenn, or Kitty, or Safas, right? Or Bill. What can I do to delight them, having been in my presence? Of course, it all goes back to the idea of the impression of increase that Wallace Wattles talked about in The Science of Getting Rich. Okay, and I may not, let's say in the terms of business, I may not have the financial means at the outset to hand free free pastries to every customer that sits down at a table, metaphorically speaking. I may not have the financial might to do that, okay, at first, because we're running on budgets here, right? So that's fine, but it's not just about the resources. Something I heard Deepak Chopra say in one of his lectures, Creating Affluence, I think it was. He said he taught his kids, and regardless of what you think of Deepak Chopra, I think this is a good practice. He taught his kids to never go to anyone's house without bringing a gift. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, right? A flower, a note, a card, right? Something, whatever, right? Something to express your appreciation and your affinity for that person, for them being in your life, something like that. It's an interesting habit to get into. And it's something that we can easily not do. What's the old saying? As easy as it is to do the right thing, it's even easier to just not do it. Right? So when we think about back to this whole idea of gradients, right? Getting higher on the mountain. Okay. We think about the various approaches that people can have from lowest to highest when considering how do we interact with our public, our audience, our customers, or whatever. The lowest would be you're a ripoff artist, right? That would be the lowest. You're ripping people off. They're exchanging something, and you're giving less value in return. Okay. By the way, that's not sustainable, right? Anyone who's selling on Amazon, you know about this thing called reviews. Okay. So there's no hiding under that rock, right? And you're not going to please everyone, right? Sure way to failure is to try and please everyone. Okay. But if your business ethics are in, the vast majority of people, assuming they actually want what you're selling, they're going to be happy, right? So that's the second level, right? It would be a fair exchange, right? So it's definitely better than being ripped off, right? So if you said, I'm going to buy yarn, okay? So I'm going to the knitting store and I'm going to buy yarn, and this is what I know yarn costs, and you pay, per foot, per yard, whatever it is, per meter, and you bought this many meters of this quality of yarn, and you paid this amount of money, and that's the end of that. It's fair exchange. That's good. That is sustainable. Does that cause raving fans, people jumping up and down? Oh my goodness, I got the yarn and it was exactly the price that I expected, and it was right in line, a couple pennies less or more than whatever competitors. But my goodness, I now have yarn. My life is complete. Hooray for me and my yarn. No, probably not. So we go up the gradient a little bit more, right? And this is a big, big difference. And this is the idea of exchanging in abundance, surprise and delight, right? So you gave me $10 worth of value. Here's $100, right? In exchange for that $10 of currency, right? Here's $100 worth of value, intrinsic or perceived. It doesn't have to be intrinsic value. It doesn't have to be, look at the pastries on the plate. That would be intrinsic value. It's very objective. We could see it. This costs money. This is something that I like. Okay. It could be, as like Chopra was talking about, a prayer, an intention, a card, a flower, something, right? You may pick the flower just, out in the woods or something. Don't pick your neighbor's flowers. My daughter wanted to do that when she was a baby. She always liked to pick dandelions. We're walking through a grassy field. She would always pick the flowers, the little dandelions. And then she saw her neighbors. They had tulips. And I was like, no, don't pick the tulips. Anyway, she had to learn a bit of discernment, right? A little bit of a discriminating thought. This is a dandelion. This is a tulip. They're different. Somebody paid to grow and water those things. Okay, so but kids, I guess they've got a very good sense of ownership, right? This is my world. Dandelion, tulip, mountain, house, my backyard, your backyard. It's all one big yard. So that's interesting. We have that beaten out of us a lot, as we age, I think. But the idea of exchanging in abundance, right? Wow, I gave $1, I got $5 worth of value. Did it have to cost the vendor $5? No, they'd go out of business like that. But are there things, and this is something that I've taught people for some time in the products, physical product space, is there a way that you can take your physical product, which may be worth $20, couple it with an intangible benefit, like here's the course, here's the ebook, here's the video series. Let's say, for example, a weight loss product, right? What does it cost to get the thermogenic activators, with the celery seed and the hot pepper and the ginseng and the caffeine and whatever, right? $20. Okay, fine. That's nice. $20. What does it cost to get that same thing with the free video series on the exercising that you could do to augment the effect of the thermogenic activator and et cetera, right? Oh, well, that's, I'll pay more for that, right? Now, it didn't cost you anything to make the video series except your time, right? Picture, relate this to your own experience, okay, whatever you're selling. It didn't cost any more to give that much more benefit to the person, right? We're not talking, in this case, in the example I'm using, it's not like a high production kind of thing where you're hiring a Hollywood studio crew or nothing like that. But you delivered real value that the person wasn't even expecting. Now, that could also fetch a higher price. Quite often it does. Now that $20 product in the whole kit, right? I got the whole kit for $100, but the vendor still only bought the physical thing, and you got to run your email servers and the websites and all that. Okay, but how much more? I mean, do you like doing this piecemeal, Mr. and Mrs. Customer? Is that what you like to do? You like half the story, or how about we just go for the gusto and get this thing handled? Let's get this handled right now. You're in the right place. Okay, everything you thought you were getting, and here's the bonuses. Here's the additional benefit that you may not have even been expecting. In fact, we guarantee it's going to work. Watch what happens. You just apply yourself to this for 30 days and you will see results. You will. The trick is you got to apply yourself to this now, right? So you can't do for people what they must do for themselves, but you can induce that impression of increase. You can surprise and delight, right? And inspire. I think that's the thing. The workout that I was referring to earlier in our conversation today was from a guy named Jeff Cavalier. Everybody check out Jeff Cavalier on YouTube. His brand is Athlean X. I'm not an affiliate of his. I've never met the guy. All I've done is watch his YouTube videos, as has 10 million other people who subscribe just to his English speaking channel. And then he's got the Spanish channel and all this. 10 million YouTube subscribers. And in a 15-minute video, I got more value from this guy. Okay. And if you like, Tony Horton and P90X and whatever you like, I'm just telling you, I'm impressed with this guy, because in 15 minutes, he straightened my ass out. He's like, here's what you do. Do that, do that, do that. But by the way, we got the full course. Go to the website, get the full course, whatever. Right. But right now you do this, you're going to get benefits. What if I had to pay for that YouTube video? Would I have, knowing what I know now? Yeah. Did he deliver abundantly to me? Yes. Right. Will I buy his full course? Probably. Right now, a 15-minute video totally kicked my ass. Right. Totally. So I'm like really low on the mountain right now compared to this guy. I mean, he's got abs sticking out. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Right. So I just turned 50 this year. So, right. And the gyms are closed. I damn well better do something. Right. or not, then what? They'll say, oh, I just turned 51 this year and I'm feeling like Gumby. Even more, right? Use it or lose it. So we're talking about a few different things that I can see a relation between. We're talking about, number one, the Goya method, right? So start going up that gradient. A little bit is a lot better than zero, a lot better, right? And then a little bit more tomorrow. That's great. Better, stronger, faster. We're also talking about delivering in a better, stronger, faster way to impress your audience, your public, your customer with increase beyond what they expected. Now they're telling their friends. Now they're like, you know what? I'm going to come back and buy the rest of your stuff, right? And we're also talking about doing high ethics, high integrity things that empower ourselves and empower those who are looking, to inspire. I know this has come up. This word inspire has come up earlier this week. To inspire those who we may not even know are looking, but that customer, that person who could exchange with you, right? They're inspired now to, yes, buy your product, take additional action that they weren't inspired to take before, simply because of your conviction, right? Your knowingness of what you're putting out there. Half measures avail us nothing, my friends, right? It's being convicted ourselves. We've talked about the whole idea of sales, whether we're talking about, actual physical, monetary selling, or, getting your daughter to clean up a room, right? The idea that I am sold myself. I am convicted in my knowingness that this is good and right. This is the direction that we're going to go in now. It's an aspect of leadership, which maybe we'll talk about more tomorrow and Friday, but these are the ideas that were coming up for me just as we were going live, and I was thinking, my goodness, I'm a little bit sweaty. How did that happen? Here's how that happened, right? Thanks, Jeff. Okay, maybe we'll get Jeff to come on here as a guest speaker sometime. He'll get us all out of our seats. We'll all be falling on the floor. You got to see this guy's videos. Really good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the microphones. We do have Ivy here, who's got a new background, and then we got Bill and Adrian. What's going on, my friend Ivy?
Hello, everyone. Thanks, John. I was just thinking when you mentioned Deepak and what he does when he goes to people's homes. I do that as well, but I think other things that I do that shock people is I love to entertain and have, guests round for dinner. And I usually theme, my dinner parties. So I'll have, some kind of theme going on. And what I do is when everyone's leaving, they get a little goodie bag. And my take on it is, why should children be the only ones to get a party pack when they've gone to a friend's birthday or something or the other? So and it doesn't cost me much to do. I just make sure it fits in with whatever theme I've chosen. Something else I do is when I go to a friend's place, and maybe they have a house party of some sort, and they've cooked and whatever. It's very African descent culture. You don't go away empty-handed. They always give you a Tupperware of something. And so when I return the Tupperware, I never return Tupperware empty, never. I simply don't do that.
You actually return Tupperware too. That's
yeah. So first I return Tupperware, but I never return it empty. So it's always something that I know the person likes. And so when they open it, they're usually surprised that, oh my God, first you brought back the Tupperware, thank you. But secondly, they open it and they go, what? You remembered? I go, well, yeah, it's one of your favorite things, no? And then something else I do is on my birthday every year. I mean, I'm big on celebrating birthdays, and I usually have anything from 5 to 6 friends that have impacted my life between the last birthday and the one, that I'm celebrating. And pre-COVID, I would invite them out, I'd hire a section or a table out in a restaurant, somewhere that I liked, and I'd have them all, share the evening with me. But what I'd do is give them gifts. But each would be bespoke. So I would give what I'd say is I'd compile a bag of my favorite things that I've discovered in the past year. So there'll be little things. I mean, because you'll discover a lot in a year, but I'll just make a pack of little things, my favorite things in the last year. But in every pack, there'll be one item that's bespoke, customized for that person. So even though it looks like everyone's got an identical bag, they each have a card with a message from me, but they also have a gift that's solely for them, either in their favorite color or their favorite hobby or whatever. And I always get back, it's your birthday. How can you be giving gifts to people on your birthday? We should be giving you a gift. But these are the, the things I do. And and I think it served me well. So, the kind of feedback I get from things like that usually is shock, but people leave my company, I think, better for it. Enriched, I think, is the word I'm probably looking for. But it's something I've done for as long as I can remember. And it's never been a money factor. So it doesn't have to be expensive. But obviously, as I've done, better over the years financially, yeah, the size or the value of the packages, I think have improved. But the ethos behind it remains the same, that it's always to make them leave feeling that they haven't wasted their time spending my birthday with me or whatever else it was, or choosing to have dinner with me that night as opposed to going to the theater or doing something else. So that's just a few things that I do in addition to taking a gift to someone's house.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when's your birthday party and where are we going?
I love it.
Thank you, Ivy. Always good to hear from you, my friend.
Thanks, John.
Let's go to Grand Cayman. Where's Adrian?
Hey, John, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, there he is.
Hey, on a very silly and frivolous note, John, I had to raise this. I had to come back to you about Emile Coué. Do you remember the Pink Panther films?
Yes, of course.
Pink Panther films, every time you mention this quote from Emile Coué, every day and every way I'm getting better and better. That is what the chief inspector, the poor chief inspector, says as he's driven slowly mad by Inspector Clouseau and tries to kill him. So I can't take that quote seriously anymore, I'm afraid, but I don't think Emile intended it that way.
Yeah. He got a lot of the Americans didn't receive it very well. He wound up going back to Europe to carry his message because people are like, what did they call it? Hell's bells, I'm well. Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you think you're gonna cure yourself with, positive thinking or something. Nah. So yeah. And now, of course, now we know.
Anyway, John, yeah, very silly and humorous, but it always reminds me of that.
Very good. Thank you, Adrian. Good to see you, brother. Let's go to Mr. Bill. And then we got Koila and Leah and Stuart. Hey, Bill, what's going on? Bill McDonald.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
How are you? Firstly, missed yesterday. Night before last. Too many nightmares, too many flashbacks. Felt like crap. Got up this morning, went to YouTube, switched on your video from yesterday, and felt the damn sight better for a start. Two people that sort of made up things, and this is where that customer experience or helping people by giving them a gift. Glenn and Gina spoke yesterday on your class, and both of them resonated. Both their messages resonated with me, and I thought, well, that's exactly where I need to go. That makes me feel better because because it resonated. I felt like the customer who had got something extra from just watching a pre-record. I also have to thank my very good friend Star for listening to me earlier. She's a good help. I think we're bouncing. But what I would say, I think everybody in this chat, we've all done something for somebody that hasn't expected it. Be it giving somebody a lift who's standing in the pouring rain, be it changing a tire for somebody or a wheel that's they've had a puncture. It doesn't really matter what it is. It can be something really simple, but that can mean the world to that person. I mean, if I get guys that deliver stuff here for me and they're doing a job, I always give them a tip, but they're gobsmacked because most people don't do that here when you're doing that, but if they've been genuine people, very helpful, very chatty, and I always like to engage with people. I think communication is a really big part of all our jobs, to want to put ourselves forward, just as Ivy was saying. And it is a case, when I go for a walk with the dog, I chat to people, and sometimes they're a bit taken aback because you've started engaging with them in a good conversation, but most times it works out really well for you. And you all of a sudden you've met a potential new customer, but you've also met a potential new friend. And that's more important. You've made somebody's day by just engaging with them. And it's such a simple, random act that you can do. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm very glad to hear that that you found, use even in the recordings, of course. We
very
try
much
to
so, Joe.
record, all this stuff because look, Bill, I need reminders all the time, right? In fact, one of the emails I was just writing to our new members was about consistency. I know this has come up quite often in our group, the idea of consistency. I could force myself to do the right thing for the next 5 minutes and then totally forget about it and go back to whatever the habits were. So habits beat heroics, consistency, the tortoise and the hare, right?
Yeah.
Consistency. So glad you're here, brother. Please keep coming.
Thank
Invite
you.
a few friends. We're going to have some great conversations. We're just getting started. Oh my goodness. Let's go to Coila, and then we got Leah and Stuart, and then Glenn. Hey, Coila.
Hi there, and I'm so glad we managed to help you yesterday, Bill. You're a ray of sunshine when you come here. The smile and the shirts, it's just wonderful. So you're doing wonders for us, and we're glad to help you back. Okay?
Thank you.
And we're glad to see you. And now, two things. The small steps thing. I suppose the last week or two, I've been coming to the point of I really think I've done enough now, and doing 2 more things after that. So, and it's amazing how easy that is. You get to the thing where you think, oh, I really think I've done enough. Nope, 2 more things, then you can stop. And I'm so pleased when I've done it, but it just takes that little effort. But then it'll be 2 more things on top of the 2 more things, I dare say, but there you go. And impression of increase and surprise and delight. As you know, I live on an island. I live on a small island off the top of Scotland. It's an island off a group of islands, so it's very small. And people are often surprised and delighted when they come here because, and I was when I first came here, because you come off the ferry and you're driving along, going to wherever you're going, and you see somebody and they wave at you. And you think, something dropped off the car. What was that about? And you keep driving along and somebody else waves at you. And you think, this is bizarre. And it's what happens. Everybody waves and smiles at each other. And they do it for tourists as well. And it's a thing, and it just makes your day. Seeing all these people as you go along, acknowledging that you're there and giving you a smile. And that it's a rare thing. And a smile costs nothing. So I try and make a habit when I meet people of smiling, because it makes me feel better. But you do have to be a little bit careful where you do that, and definitely don't try it in Aberdeen because they think you've gone bananas.
Well, I heard a very wise man once say, "Don't worry about what your neighbors think; they probably don't." So,
if you come to West Street, that is what's going to happen, and it's a good place.
Fantastic! Thank you, Coila. Always good to hear from you, and I am so happy to hear you're getting it done. Right, getting even more done. That is so huge. Well done, my friend. Let's go to Leah and Stuart, and then Glenn, and then Ego. Hey, Leah and Stuart.
Hey, John. Hey, everybody. How you guys doing?
Good.
Nice to be here. Surprise and delight. Impression of increase. I feel like these are the ways that I try to live my life and run my business. We're all about over delivering, right? And you talked about delivering. I've had a lot of people say to us on our tours, and maybe I should say for those of you that don't know what it is that we do, Lee and I have run an outdoor recreation company here in northern New Mexico for the last almost 30 years. Excuse me. And so I lead people in the wilderness. We go on hiking and camping trips, and we have a herd of rescued pack llamas that carry everybody's gear on the trail and all kinds of cool stuff like that. I start every trip after I get the animals ready for the trail and before our guests start to show up. Now, again, this is a little different from, let's say, products to services, right? So we've been in the service industry, and maybe it's a little different because I've been able to interact personally with the thousands of people that have come on our trips in a really personal way. When people show up for the trail, I've already looked at all of my intake forms, not only to make note of people's medical conditions and other things like that that are a concern for us as we take people out in the wilderness, but mostly, or not mostly, but also so that I can kind of get a quick hit on everybody's name before the groups show up. And these are typically small groups from all over the world, a couple few people here, a couple few people here. And by the time everybody shows up, it's usually a dozen, 15, 16, you know, I've done bigger trips with corporate groups and things like that. But the first thing I do when we do our orientation is I'll kind of gather everybody up, and we'll talk about the llamas for a minute. But I'll run through and I'll rattle off everybody's name in a circle. Hey, this is this person, this is this person, this is this person. And people are just blown away, right? And I'm sure some of you have had this experience with a group, and all of a sudden you've taken, you know, the time and the energy and the consideration to learn everybody's names, right? And so people automatically feel special when they show up. So that's just sort of one, like, very basic way that at the beginning of our wilderness trips that I would try to make people feel, you know, special and welcome and all that kind of stuff. Over the course of the trip, I would be walking, hiking down the trail. We'd hike, you know, miles a day with these animals, and everybody's really into the llamas and all that. But I'll make it a point to hike and chat with each person on the trail. I have a little bit of a background from the forms that we've had them fill out, so I know a little bit about where they're from. We'll chat about, hey, you know, what do you do to pay the bills and that kind of thing. And, you know, I try to engage in a real conversation with every person on these trips in a way that addresses, you know, something real and meaningful in their life, whether it's where they come from or what they do, or, you know, if somebody prompts, kind of like John, you know, when somebody may say something and you just kind of riff on it and talk about it for a while. And I think people really appreciate that. And a lot of people say things like, wow, I never knew it would be like this. You know, people signed up for a trip, they knew they were going hiking with llamas, but they didn't realize that we would be doing demos about edible and medicinal plants, or I would teach people about this or that, or we would just stop sort of spontaneously and do something that, you know, for me is just trying to create a special experience for somebody or for a group, but people really feel that value to the point where then I'm busting out like a 4-star gourmet lunch out in the middle of the wilderness, and people are just like, what? Oh my God, how'd you do this here? And then the other thing I'll do is, in terms of over delivering, I'm all about sort of the unspoken add-ons, right? And because these are really free-form, unscripted wilderness experiences that we've offered, at any given moment, I may have an opportunity to take people to go see some ancient Native American petroglyphs, or an old gold mine from the 1800s. And these are things that we don't advertise. These are just things that happen over the course of a day in an organic way. And by the end of the gig, people are just blown away. I had no idea we were going to go see a gold mine. I had no idea we were going to do this or that. And again, I think this is a big part of the success that we've had in our business, and definitely a huge reason for all the wonderful reviews we've gotten and things like that. And again, service industry, a little different than products, but really we've lived our lives by the principle of trying to offer people life-changing, authentic experiences that people are going to walk away from these trips feeling like their lives are enriched and that they're better for it. Sorry if I went long, guys.
That's beautiful. Susan says that you, she was dreaming of you in Indiana Jones garb last night, and here it is. Here's the hat. That's great. You know what? The experience, Stuart. I know that you're completely in tune with this. And what do people buy? Whether we're buying the car, right, or the outdoors trip or whatever, we buy the experience. We want the experience. When we think of our goals, different conversation, everyone, but think about this. When you picture your goals, you picture yourself experiencing, not just having. Okay, it's one thing to have something, but it's another thing to have the experience. That's really where the rubber meets the road. We'll talk more about that later this week, I think. Thank you, Stuart. Let's go to Glenn, Ego, and then Nicola. What's up, Glenn Henderson?
Reverend Lavinia, how are you doing today, my friend?
That's it. Pass the basket. Here we
Consider
go.
that a field promotion. I was made aware of an idea. I was introduced to an idea, a practice really, by a buddy of mine named Ray Higdon. That may be a name familiar to some. Ray talks all the time about practice with his coaching teams and coaching groups called Wealth Wednesday. Very simple concept, but extremely powerful. Here's how it works. On Wealth Today, Wealth Wednesday, depending on where you are in the world, what you do is you perform a random act of kindness for a total stranger involving a financial exchange. And here's how it works in real practice. If you go passing through a drive-through, for example, for your coffee or your morning breakfast and juice, pay for the person behind you. If you're driving through the toll booth, if I'm driving through the toll booth, hey, listen, person behind me, take this extra $1, cover their toll as well, so forth. One of the things Paula likes to do is go to our Goodwill store here in Houston and find a little baby jacket or shirt or something like that and put a $5 bill in the pocket. I like to put a $5 or a $10 bill under the flap of a box of nappies. That's diapers for us Yanks. And or under the lid of a can of baby formula, something like that. I'll tell you what I have also done. I have gone on to Cash App or Venmo or one of these things and just sent $10 or $20 to a random person. Hey, hope you have a great day. Something like that. The effect of this is powerful, really powerful in 3 different areas. Number one, you get to feel good. It makes me feel good knowing that I've done something nice for somebody. And preferably, by the way, this ought to be something, an act performed for a person who cannot possibly pay you back. So whatever that looks like, perhaps someone anonymous or like behind you in the drive-through and so forth. So first, you get to feel good. Second, you get to make somebody else feel good and quite possibly make their day. And I have heard stories out of some of Ray's groups where somebody went and posted on Facebook, oh my gosh, you can't believe what happened to me today. I was so down, I'd lost my job, or my spouse passed away, or divorce, or blah, blah, blah. I was so down, so depressed. I was actually wondering if it's worth going on. And then, or a young couple struggling, we don't know how we're going to feed our baby. So we went to the Walmart, and lo and behold, there's a $20 bill inside the box of nappies. Oh, thank you so much to whoever this anonymous person was. See, you may very well, by performing that act of kindness, be literally saving someone's life. So let that sink in for a minute. And the third way that this is powerful, what a powerful effect is, we get to actually raise the vibration of the world. We are leaving the impression of increase in the mind and the spirit of a total stranger who cannot possibly pay us back. But what about this? If each of us, if every 76, all 76 of us on this call did that every week, and out of 76, if only one recipient is inspired to pay it forward and do that for someone else, think what would happen to the vibration of this planet within about 6 to 12 months. So, Wealth Wednesday, after I get off this call, I'm off to do mine. Back to you, John.
Wow. Glenn, you just got a fan club over here. This is great. That's Glenn, everybody. Meet Glenn.
Wow.
Stole
We
the
come to
show
serve.
2 days in a row. He could do the Vulcan hand. I can't do that.
50 plus years of practice, John.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm just not that interested. All right.
Okay.
Ego.
Hi,
Ego.
everyone. Good to be here today. Good to see everyone's smiling, beautiful faces.
So Ivy, Koila, Glenn, everyone, you've just knocked it out of the park. Everything I was going to say. However, I wanted to kind of talk about how rewarding it is to give. So the surprise and delight. I would say, for me, yes, I know in marketing terms, it's about creating reward for your clients or potential clients, but I like to give unexpectedly without expecting anything in return. And it's similar to what Glenn had said, giving where to someone who can't possibly pay you back. And something that I've maintained over very many years, and I've said it to, like family, friends, and whoever would listen, is I love to give of my time, talent, and resources. I'm not afraid to give because I know that givers never lack, and I will never lack. I say it boldly without conviction. I will never lack. Because I enjoy giving. And something that Ivy said earlier, I actually do the same. I give gifts on my birthday. And when somebody, one challenge that I would say I had for a very long time was I was okay to give, but I struggled to receive. So I've kind of let go of that now. And what I do is when people do stuff for me or give to me, I always write them a personalized note. People say, why don't you send an email or why don't you send a text? I actually create personalized cards with their names on it, especially for them. And I write out a message to say, thank you for this act of kindness or whatever you've done. And here's how it's enriched my life. I always tell them how it's actually touched me or impacted my life, the little things. It might be somebody, when I was going through treatment, a friend of mine who lives in California actually paid for a cleaner for 2 months for me because she couldn't come, she couldn't come visit. And I made a personalized card for her. And it's something that I do. I enjoy it. I enjoy giving. I don't want any recognition. I don't want any, I don't want to be paid back, but I want to stand for that. The fact that I love to give of my time, talent, and resources.
Thank you, Ego. You know what? The culture, like what Glenn was just talking about, the culture that you help create by doing that, Ego. I don't think anyone, we may not be looking for recognition, but you don't go unnoticed, right? I mean, who doesn't know, like, and trust Ego? Ego's awesome, right? Glenn, Stuart, and it's the being, right? The intent with all that, I think speaks volumes. Yeah. What is that butterfly effect? Maybe we could talk about that another day. The butterfly effect, right? So those of you who don't know what I'm referencing, we can discuss that a little bit further. But we have a few more people with their hands up, and we are coming towards the top of the hour. So we got Nicola, then Caroline, Nikki, Adrian, and Cyril. So let's go to Nicola.
Afternoon, everyone. Fantastic messages today, Mind. This is just brilliant. And I just wanted to share a quick story, and it just follows on quite nicely from Glenn and Ego. Just from today, actually, just the power. I do believe in the kind of give and you will receive. And just today, I'm part of I've got a bit of a property portfolio. So I'm part of a property network group. And the guy that runs the training company asked me last week if I would go down to meet them and be interviewed on my kind of property journey over the past few years and to share it with some of his new students. So it was a little bit out of my comfort zone, sitting in front of a camera getting interviewed, but I thought it's just my time, and if that helps somebody else on their journey, then it's kind of time well invested. So I've done that this morning. Got back this afternoon, just talking about birthdays earlier. I've got a big birthday coming up in a couple of weeks, and me and a couple of friends want to stay in a particular city. And I thought, actually, I know somebody in that property group who's got an apartment in that city that she rents out. So I'll get in touch with her to see if it's available. And not only is it available, she offered me it for free. So I just think that just quite a timely example of give something, give your time, give a bit of kind of, your share your learnings in your journey, and within the space of a couple of hours I got something back on a scale I wasn't expecting. So yeah, just thought I'd share. It's quite a timely example.
Well done, and happy birthday. Is your birthday coming up?
A couple of weeks. Time.
Wow, you're going to be 21. 21. Thank you. A little bit vague on that. Thank you. There she is, everyone. Nicola. In fact, Nicola is going to be facilitating some sessions that are going to be going on the calendar here, which again I am still working on putting together this week. Julian figured out how to put his hand up. Thank you, Julian. We're going to come to you here in just a moment. We got Caroline up next, and then Nikki. Caroline.
Hey, hi everyone. Hey. So I've just got a very little story to add regarding bringing surprise and delight. So I've had the chance recently to do just that, and it's really nice, and it's on a very, very, very small scale. So I suppose my story is just proof that it doesn't need to be a big thing to create an extreme delight and surprise reaction. So I'm a member of a Facebook group where many of you might know something called kefir, where you make milk kefir with these grains. And you join this group and people share grains because these grains like multiply and you end up like gazillions of them. And so every month I'm sending out a few doses to various people. And the group protocol is you pay postage for someone to send them to you, but it's such a tiny amount. It's like the first time I did it was like £1.50, and that's like $1.50. I used a secondhand envelope, and I'm like, I'm not going to say to people, PayPal me £1.50, and it's kind of ludicrous. It's like three of those is like one coffee. So this is what I do now. So 2, 3, 4 times a month. But the surprise with people and their complete delight, you'd think I'd give them like £100. They're like, oh my God, when I'm making it, I'll be thinking about you, emoji love. And it's just like, wow, that's kind of a really easy way to bring such delight. And you kind of feel generous, but it's not because of a huge financial donation. It's because you've given them a gift of how they feel. So it feels really nice. So yeah, that's my little story.
Thank you. What an impression you can make with so little. Yeah. In fact, it's even simpler to probably, forego the whole. I mean, why complicate it, right? We're talking about $1. My goodness.
I know, because they can just pay it forward. They'll probably do the same to the next person, which I think is kind of nice.
Fantastic. Thank you, Caroline. Let's go to Nikki, and then Adrian, and Cyril, and Julian. Nikki, where's Nikki? Nikki. I'm going to try and unmute your microphone. Nikki, I know it was unmuted before.
I've unmuted it.
There she is. Nikki, what's going on?
Hello, what a wonderful discussion that we're all having this evening. And I wholeheartedly agree and have been doing and just love doing all of those things. But I don't think it's sort of for my glory, so I don't like to talk about what I do or what I plan to do. Although for me, giving is part of being, so it just has to go on like that. I'll tell you two funny little stories. One, I recently moved and I saw a bus scrape past a car, and I wrote all the details of the bus registration and I put it on the car windscreen. And as I was doing that, a chap came out, virtually looked as if he was going to pick me up and throw me in the road. And I went, no, I'm just telling you who did it. And he got in touch with me a couple of weeks later to say that the damage to his car was £8,000. He never would have got it off the bus company if I'd not said that letter. Could he send me some flowers? And I went, no, just, pass it on as you do. And the other thing about gift giving, I absolutely agree. We've always said if you're going to stay with a friend or whatever, you have to take something with you. All the children have learnt that. And but as a single mum, it's sometimes really nice when you find out that your kids have actually listened to what you've been saying all these years. My daughter went away about 10 days ago to stay with a girlfriend of hers, and now she's gone off with another friend on their family holiday. She rang me from Euston to say, Mummy, I thought I'd let you know, I remembered to get something for this girl's parents. And she said, yeah, I got Fortnum and Mason's chocolates. So she knows they've got to be impressive. It doesn't matter, you don't just go and get like any old chocolates, you get the best chocolates. So that I was proud. That's a proud moment I'm sharing, but I think this giving is wonderful. If we want to live in a better world, we've got to be the start. We've got to make our own little part better. Thank you for this.
Thank you. And I see you got your boxes there. So
Yeah, I'm still moving in. That's because this is the first day that I'm doing this call now. Instead of being at my kitchen table, I'm moving upstairs. This is the box room, obviously, and
Right.
I'll need to clear it out. But it's my workspace. I need to concentrate.
Well, I am moving at the end of the month, so I can
Wow.
relate. I can commiserate. Yeah, very good. Thank you, Nikki. Glad you're here. We're going to wrap up with Adrian, and then Cyril, and then Julianne. Adrian, what's going on?
Hey, John, going to dive in again on the back of what
Sure
Glenn
can.
said, but I'll be very quick. To me, beyond the financial, which I think the random acts of financial kindness is brilliant, but it's simple. It's sometimes as simple as just smiling and talking to somebody and thanking them. When I see restaurants and shops, a lot of people are ready to complain, but they never say thank you when somebody just does an ordinary job well. And that can change the world, and that can really spread immense happiness and change somebody's day. So that's what I try and do, and I really believe we should all try and do that. I'm sure you all do anyway, because you're all great people. But people just doing their job well, they deserve thanks and a smile and a bit of chat.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Great reminder there, Adrian. And let's go to Cyril. What's going on, Cyril? Where's Cyril? Cyril?
Hi guys.
There he is.
I don't often contribute because I don't feel often that I've necessarily got something to contribute more than people have already given, and sometimes people come out with the thoughts that I've been thinking anyway. But what dawned on me today with the surprise and delight was that I don't know that it was always necessarily a surprise and delight, but my childhood was difficult, and I realized that socialization was part of the problem that occurred with my lack of socialization occurred with my childhood. And then when I became a dancer, and finally I found a bit of a niche somewhere, and I got into it, and I got into Latin dance, and I started I got into it, and then people started asking me for classes and things, which I duly did because that was nice to do and it was nice to be asked. But but later on, when I got into Latin dancing, I realized, because I realized that at some point, as many fashions are, there was going to change, then I would need to move forward. So I started studying. I went to university, but to pay my way through college, I was still teaching dance, and I found that, and I set up a Latin dance class in my uni. And I found a lot of the people, quite a few of the guys particularly, who came had real socialization issues, unsurprisingly. And so I realized as part of my approach to teaching the dance was to help them with how they relate to their partner. And because with the Latin dance, you've literally got, from my perspective, a woman in my arms, then it's about, first of all, getting them used to that idea and how they're going to feel uncomfortable because people aren't used to have somebody else in their space. And that doesn't happen till much later on, or when you have to spend more time with more intimate company. And then other issues that people have about how they see people, how they connect, the joy of it, but also the respect about having somebody in your space, and being kind, because sometimes in their need to be helpful, they might be overly critical, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So to be kind to others, and I've often found when I've done other people's classes that wasn't always something that came up in their classes. So I was pleased that I managed to give that to others, so that and I found that the energy in my classes was always really lovely. But I used to or rather, some of my students would come back to me about how different it was in other classes because their teachers, because you always find that the teacher's attitude then comes across in the students as they move forward as well. So I don't know about surprise and delight, but it was and I found it a real joy to impart this something that I've learned, and I found hard learned for me because it took more work than I think other people I felt had been able to achieve it. But to impart that for others was a real joy to me, and I could see the benefit all around me, particularly when I would take the classes to clubs and things and see how they would progress in their ability to be with other people. So I just wanted to contribute a little bit of that. Thanks for the opportunity, and thank you, John, for allowing me.
Thank you, Cyril. So glad you're here. We've got a lot of people who are tango enthusiasts who could use some instruction, just in case.
Oh, I wish I could do tango. I did a few classes, but I never got back to doing it properly. I used to do a lot of, I started with lambada, and then I was doing a lot of salsa. So a lot
Try
of salsa.
Zoom. Try Zoom. We'll follow.
Let's wrap up with Julian today. And Julian, you've got the floor, sir. What's going on?
I was just back to the random acts of kindness, and I think it's pretty much mirroring what other people have said. But for me, it was teaching my kids to do that. So I've been involved in various charitable organisations for a number of years. And one of them, every year, we used to take a disadvantaged family away to a seaside resort. So we would do some fundraising, and we do that from within the group, and we do that from within the community as well. And then what we would do, we would pay for a hotel or a caravan and by the sea, and we would then take the people there. But part of that wasn't just actually giving money, because that's dead easy to give. It's giving your time as well. So one of the members of our club, or one of us, would then go and pick the person up from their home and take them there and bring them back. One, that it meant that you were giving them your time, but also you were saving money rather than paying for taxis or buses to get them there, and then you could put that money towards somebody else. And one of the other things we used to do at Christmas, which was great fun, and I used to take my kids and it's passed on to I've got 3 daughters, and it's passed on to them, is that we used to do the Christmas float. So we used to go around the streets of Loughborough, and we'd have this Christmas float, which was a Santa sleigh, and it had music playing out, and then all the guys would go there dressed in Santa suits, rattling the tins, banging on the doors, collecting money for local charities. And I took my girls used to love that, but I found it very fulfilling, and that really sometimes brought the whole meaning of Christmas. I know we shouldn't be talking about Christmas in August, but the whole meaning of Christmas, and it was, the joy you saw on some of the kids' faces. You'd have to rush back from work, and there was always this thing that the last person to get there, we used to leave at 6, and the last person there, the forfeit was that you had to put the Santa suit on and go around the sleigh, and you'd be there rattling your tin with a big white beard on, and as we all went around with hats on collecting. But it was great. One of the most magical moments I can remember, we drove down a cul-de-sac, and it started to snow, and the Christmas music was playing, and all these kids looking out their windows, and their eyes were as wide as anything. And that is probably one of my greatest memories. And my kids, they've missed that now because they're older, and they don't do that anymore, and they do their own stuff in wherever they are. But I think it was, I think you have that indoctrinated into you from a young age, and it's to give and doing those random acts of kindness. And I did put in the message, one of the things which was, I joked it was a bit weird. So I used to work in the city, and you'd commute in every day, and I'd say good morning to people on the tube, because nobody talks. And they all looked at me as if I was some complete weirdo. And I'd say, morning, how are you? They'd almost stand back, away from you. And I've always, and what Adrian was saying earlier, about telling people when they've done something good. We're all easy to complain, but if I've ever had great service, or anywhere I've been, great service at all, I'm always very appreciative, and tell people when I appreciate what they've done. So if somebody's done a good job for me, I always tell them, because we're always very quick to judge and tell people when they've done a bad job. And I'll do that equally as well. If somebody's, delivered me a shit job, I'll tell them they've had a shit job. But if they've done a great job, I'll tell them they've done a great job, and I'll promote those people as well. So, but that was really all I wanted to say. It's passing it on to the next generation as well, really. And you get a lot of fulfillment from that, don't you? You get a lot of personal fulfillment. So somebody's
I'm ready to get a Santa hat over here.
Yeah. Yeah, I got one. So what I've done, I'll just tell you this before I know we need to go. So I've still got the Santa suit. So my kids are older now, and every Christmas Eve, I always dressed up as Santa to drop the presents, and I did it or just do it for fun. And the girls said to me, now they're older, and they come and see me on Christmas Eve, and they said, oh, we want to go into a club, Dad. And I said, look, Christmas Eve, we always spend Christmas together. I said, and anyway, I said, I always dress up as Father Christmas on Christmas Eve. I said, the only way you'll get me into a nightclub is if I wear a Santa suit thinking they're going to say to me, absolutely no way, we'll be embarrassed to see them. Yeah, cool, what a great idea. So I have a photograph of me standing in the middle of this nightclub with my daughters, which I went to for an hour, in a Santa suit. So yeah, that was my random act of kindness to them. Anyway, I shall leave you with that, John.
Thank you. Well, and thank everyone who shared. This is a great discussion today, which went in a few different directions, right? I never know what we're going to hear until we hear it, right? So thank you, my friends. I'm looking forward to getting this going bigger, stronger, faster, which we're coming to fruition on here really soon. So stay tuned. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, and if you recognize any of the people here who spoke, you can request to speak as well. They will be happy to give you access to the inner circle, if you will. That's it for today, guys. Enjoy your after session, whatever's going on. I got to run. I'll see you all back here tomorrow.
Bye, John. Bye.
Thank you, John.